Yes, go ahead.
All right. So good morning, JCI. Whoop, there dropped the phone. Good morning, JCI Michigan. I'm so excited that we're going to be able to actually host our Meet the Candidates event, and to my knowledge, the first time as a statewide virtual Meet the Candidates. So I'm excited to be able to have members from across the state participate in today's event. Once again, thank you to all of the candidates for today's event, as well as the elections committee and your participation and all of the hard work you put into today's event. Next, I would like to introduce our moderator for today, which is Sarah Nelson. 88th JCI Michigan President Sarah Nelson was an active JC for 13 years, joining the Grand Rapids JC's chapter in 2001. She served in her home chapter as Community Vice President and the 77th President in 2005. For JCI Michigan, she has served as the Region Director, Secretary, Communications Director, Community Vice President, Management Vice President, 88th State President, and finished her JC career as Chairman of the Board. Past President Sarah is a lifetime member of the Grand Rapids JCs and JCI Michigan. She is JCI Senator number 72701. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this. I am very honored to be your moderator today. I myself have gone through this process 4 times. As Sarah mentioned, I ran as a region director, ran twice as a programming vice president, once for community, once for management. And again, I ran as state president. Each time going through this process of elections taught me a lot about myself and gave me some really good leadership skills. In particular, when I ran for state president, some of the advice that I was given that year has stuck with me and really helped me define my leadership moving forward beyond my JC career. And so I applaud the candidates for taking this step and moving forward and going through this process. Hopefully, when you're done with the elections year, you too will come out of it and say, I learned a lot. It helped me grow and it helped me be a better leader. So thank you to the candidates for being here today and taking on this election process. So let's get started. If you haven't already, you can move into speaker view. Although it's still showing up as Sarah instead of me, so that you can see the speaker. But we'll get started. Our opportunity to meet the candidates today will be a simple process. We'll hear from the district director candidate first, and then we'll move into the vice presidents. We'll first hear from the vice president of membership, then followed by the vice president of programming, and then finally the candidates for president. The format will be district directors will be given 3 minutes to speak. Following the speech, there'll be an opportunity for the candidates to answer a few questions. Both the membership and the programming vice president candidates will have 6 minutes to speak, and that includes their introductions. The order has been predetermined by secession. So the order of office to fulfill the role of president should that office be vacated. Following will be the question and answer time. You can submit questions from candidates to answer as well. So submit those via the chat. And depending on how we are, we'll do a short break and then hear from the presidential candidates. Each candidate will receive 10 minutes to speak. That includes their introduction. Following the speeches, both the speeches, we will then have the opportunity for the candidates to answer some questions as well. So we will get started. First up is our district director. Our first candidate today is running for the district director 4 position. And I would like to introduce you to Megan Miani to the stage. Megan.
Hi, everyone. My name is Megan Miani, and I'm a Wyandotte and a Livonia JC. and this year I will be running for District 4 Director. Some of the leadership positions that I have held in JCI. In Wyandotte, I was the secretary twice. I was the management director for about half a year, and it turned into management VP when our management VP vacated. And then I served as the 44th president of Wyandotte. I chose to run for District 4 Director basically because of I was thinking of leaving the JCs at one point, and if it were not for some of the District 4 events and learning that there is life outside of my own chapter, I don't think I would have still continued with the JCs. So I'm very thankful for District 4 and the chapters that welcomed me into some of their events. And also Angela Wolf for helping me to see my leadership skills and really encourage me to move forward with competitions, attending conferences. She was our District 4 director 2 years ago, and that really opened the door. So because of her and the chapters in our district, that's why I want to move forward with trying to unite us as a district so that we can see that there are opportunities outside of our chapter for both professional, personal, and JC growth. So the platform that I looked into running for this year is turning compassion into action. Right now, as a society, as JCs, we're facing a lot of different issues, and it's very easy to be compassionate towards those issues and really care. But are we turning that compassion into our action? Are we creating a plan to move forward to have that sustainable change so that in 5 years from now, we're not facing those same issues again? So some of the ways that we can do that as a district and my goals that I'm setting for myself, should I be elected as District 4 Director, is to have some monthly presidential check-ins. So not just sending somebody a Facebook message, but trying to pull the presidents together as much as we can, such as Zoom. If we can at that point have in-person socials, telephone calls, just utilizing a multitude of different technologies to be able to touch base and see what's going on in each chapter at one time. And then I would like to attend GMMs once per trimester. A lot of the GMMs are on the same days, so it would be very hard to try and get to all of them in the same month, but that goal would be every trimester to attend every chapter's GMM. And then to have a social each trimester. I know D4 has been known in the past and we're bringing it back for Slash Ball, but each trimester to try and have a social in a different area of our district, because our district spans so many different cities in quite a vast area of mileage. And then to have dual or tri-chapter trainings and panel discussions. We saw the training last year that some of our districts put together. Now with Zoom, we can open the opportunity of offering that to JCI USA and JCI Nationals. So if we pulled some of our district chapters together to offer those trainings, I think that would be very beneficial moving forward to empower them and encourage them. I'm sorry, Sarah?
Time's up.
Okay.
Thank you. So sorry.
It's okay. I only had one more thing to say, so I was right there.
At this point, we do have a few questions for you. So we have about your vision for both the district and your bid to join JCI Michigan Board of Directors. Please limit your answers to 1.5 minutes or less. We have 2 pre-selected questions, and then if there's any audience questions, we'll select one of those. So your first question is, what is the biggest challenge local organizations face to create a greater depth of leadership? And how would you address that as a district director?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is membership right now and finding members that have that vision of leadership in the future. It's very easy to find people who would like to be included into an organization, but to find people who have those goals to become leaders in not only their lives, but in the community as well, I think is something that JCI Michigan, as well as us as a society, face right now. So I think the easiest way to combat that is to really be present at community events and to be watching the nonverbals of the people in the community, and to really seek out those individuals that we notice want to make change, have high goals for themselves, instead of just kind of putting out a blanket come join us, we have to put in that work to seek those individuals. And so that's what I would like to help my district chapters do by attending their events and seeing those people in the community and helping them reach out to those to increase their membership.
Thank you. Your second question is, what skills do you bring to the position of district director that help you in the role of being a mentor to your local organization presidents, their leadership and their members?
Yeah, so I think with my career as a nurse, I mentor a lot of new nurses. And so I just think having grown in my career as always wanting to be there for somebody and being able to seek out knowledge if I don't know something, I think is one of my greatest strengths that will help me in this position, because I don't know everything there is to know about JCI. And so I can utilize my resources around me, utilize my past district directors such as Chris, Angela, past state presidents such as you, Peter, Sarah, a multitude of resources that I can reach out to find those answers, instead of just saying I don't know to my districts or forgetting about the issue and not addressing it for them.
Thank you. Are there any audience questions? If you want to shoot a question over via the group chat, we can pick up a question there if there's anybody that has a question. Give it a minute longer. Okay. Thank you, Megan, so much. Good luck with your campaign. And thank you for joining us. We know you're on vacation, so thank you for taking the time out of your morning to come be with us. Do we have Chris Crawford on? Has he been able to log on? I know he was driving, so do we have a Chris Crawford? Chris Crawford?
Don't see him on here, Sarah.
Okay, well, we're going to skip Chris for now and come back. We'll move on to the programming vice president candidate. For the purpose of introducing our candidate for the vice president of programming, I would like to welcome Nikki Dobos from the Kalamazoo, JCI Kalamazoo.
Hi, good morning, everyone, and welcome to my porch. I am so excited to introduce our next candidate. Karina joined the Ann Arbor JCs in 2011. She has served 6 years on her local board, twice as director in 2013 and 2015, and as membership vice president in 2014 and 2018, as president in 2019, and is currently serving as chairman of the board as well as District 3 director for JCI Michigan, and is also a part of the second cohort of JCI USA Leadership Fellows. She's busy, y'all. Karina has used this organization to help grow her confidence, her public speaking skills, project management skills, leadership skills, and more. And speaking as a chapter president that Karina supports as district director, I can tell you that her dedication, support, and mentorship this year has been pivotal to my presidency. I know I can always count on her. Even if all I have wanted her to do is show up at my house at 2 in the morning so I can turn her into a zombie and we can be creepy and run around the woods together at dawn. She's not afraid of a good time. She's not afraid of hard work. And it is an honor and a privilege to introduce to you one of my most favorite people on the planet and your candidate for programming vice president, Karina Townsend.
Thank you, Nikki. Good morning, JCI Michigan, and thank you all for joining us this morning, either via Zoom or tuning in later to watch Meet the Candidates. Truth be told, over the last 3 to 4 years, my focus has been on membership. But alas, I am running for programming vice president of JCI Michigan because membership and programming aren't mutually exclusive. These two aspects of our organization go hand in recruiting, retaining, and developing members into leaders. I found my passion for membership and recruiting because programming helped me gain the skills to become a better public speaker, boost my confidence to speak to strangers, and so much more. As Nikki said, I joined the Ann Arbor JCs in 2011, looking for ways to give back to my community. And after resisting the pull of Faye for months, I finally gave in and found exactly what I was looking for. Within my first year, I was co-chairing our spring extravaganza and helping plan the next 4th of July parade. But really, when I look back at my almost 9 years in this organization, it hasn't been our signature projects that have helped me grow the most. It's been being part of creating and supporting members to develop new projects they are passionate about and gaining skills along the way, which is why I'm so passionate about programming. In my experience, I've been part of so many wonderful teams to create projects that have a variety of different impacts. From supporting the community with Zombies app, a Halloween event for Big Brothers Big Sisters, and recruiting members like Speed Friending, which brings strangers together in an inclusive environment to make friendships in just 3 minutes, to educating members with boards on boards on boards, to learn about the board of directors over cheese boards and board games. And some projects are just plain fun, like Vestival, because sometimes your friends need an event to wear silly vests to. In my opinion, there is nothing more exciting than to hear about a project or an event that a member is passionate about and or a skill a member has learned as a result of that project. And if we are so lucky, we get to hear about these projects during SPE presentations or competitions. I realize that I can't see your hands right now, but I do want to ask a question. How many of you have been excited to share a project you chaired or participate in competitions, but were unable to due to finances, not having transportation, unable to take time away from work or family, or some other reason? I'm raising my hand. I know I have, which is why my vision is to make JCI Michigan's events and competitions more accessible to our members in hopes of encouraging a greater participation. COVID-19 hasn't been great to many of us, but it has taught JCI Michigan we can successfully go virtual. We've successfully hosted trainings, conferences, socials, along with participate in competitions and present SPEs. My goal is to continue this into 2021 and beyond, so these events can be accessible to everyone, not just the state level, but working with chapters to continue hosting events virtually as well. As much as I haven't loved the craziness of 2020, I have loved our continued ability to join events around the state, like Livonia's Thirsty Thursdays, South Kent's Trivia Nights, and Kalamazoo's Taco Tuesdays. The ability to connect with members that we traditionally wouldn't be able to visit all in the same week is an amazing thing that we're able to do. Beyond my vision of accessibility in terms of having virtual events, I'd like to work with the state board to create a fundraiser that raises money to support scholarships for members who wish to attend JCI Michigan events, but finances have previously limited them from doing so. In order to be financially accessible for 21 to 40-year-olds, we are trying to attract and retain. We have to take into account that not all members are able to afford these expenses that go along with our events, and that shouldn't be the reason that holds them back. In closing, I look forward to helping make JCI Michigan not only more accessible, but more inclusive in 2021. Thank you again for joining us this morning.
Thank you so very much. And thank you. I think you caught my holding up the time signs. Thank you. We will be returning to you shortly. We're going to have Chris speak, and then we'll come back and do some questions. So jumping back, I've been told that Chris is now on. There he is. You made it.
Second cheese, but we're on now.
Yes. So I would like to introduce Chris Crawford for the candidate Vice President of Membership. Chris.
Thank you. Good morning, JCI Michigan. Again, my name is Chris Crawford, and I'm your candidate for 2021 JCI Michigan Membership Vice President. It's an honor to speak before you today. I also want to give you a little bit of background about myself. I've been a member of JCI Livonia for about 6 years. I joined for social reasons, but I stayed to make a difference. I have served on my local board as well as individual development vice president, as community vice president, as treasurer, and then last year, 2019, president of Livonia. This year, I'm chairman of the board. On the state level, I've done pretty much everything from production team to training to audit committee, and this year I'm your district board director. I'm also a 10th degree JC and a recent Luthi and Lachwal winner. I'm also a financial advisor with Fidelity. Today, I'd like to share a little bit of my platform. I've got 3 key things I'd like to talk about today. 3 things I look at when I look at our membership is we need to get younger, and I have a plan to get us there. We need to be more diverse in all aspects. I have a plan to get us there as well. And as an organization, we've talked a lot about shrinking and struggling in terms of chapter size and membership. I have a plan to get us to long-term stabilization and consistent, sustainable growth. So the big thing we need to figure out is in order to figure out how to get younger, we need to figure out where we're at. As an organization, 44% of our membership are 35 and older. Another 28% are 30 to 34, which means 72% of our membership ages out in less than 10 years. We've done a fantastic job of recruiting people our own age, because 41% of our membership has been recruited in the last 2 years, which is great, meaning we've got newer members, but the problem is those members are going to be aging out sooner. Being that we're an organization that's 21 to 40, what we really need to be doing is tapping into people for the next generation, the people that are considered what we call Generation Z. A lot of us are millennials. We know what we like. We work really hard. We are willing to give up work-life balance in order to achieve things in life. Generation Z operates differently. So if we want to recruit people that are a different generation than ours, that do things differently than us, that we need to recruit differently. We need to make sure that we know what they want and that we recruit accordingly. So I did a little bit of research. Gen Z is acutely aware of their environmental, political, and socioeconomic problems that face the world, and they want to be the change in that world. That's big for them, not just hearing about the problems, but actually making change. So if we can adopt our membership and our programming to around those things, as well as adopting new technology and adding value, we can recruit those newer members. Also, which also ties into it, is the fact that they want to see the organizations they're a part of reflect the world that they care about. They see things globally. They don't just see things on a state or city level. So if we can reflect a melting pot, so to speak, that actually represents the actual country and maybe actually the planet, we can get more of these people to come in and be part of it because we share their values. People join people. They don't just join organizations. The last thing I want to talk about is, we've always been focused on growth, right? Year in and year out, we focus on growing the organization. We need to be focused on quality membership. If we have people that are doing great things and we're showing value, more people will be having fun, more people will join because people join people. That's it. So, thank you for your time today. Again, we'll talk more about it in the question and answer session. And again, like I said, people join people. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Chris. So we'll move on to the question and answer section. There is an opportunity for 2 questions, pre-selected questions for each candidate, and then 2 audience questions. So again, if you have a question for either candidate or for both candidates, please do a message via the group chat. Heather will pick that up and make sure I get a copy of that. We will start off with the membership vice president candidate. And what we'll do is we'll do the membership vice president candidate, we'll get a question, then the programming, then the membership, then the programming. So we'll flip back and forth. So we'll start off with Chris. Your pre-selected question is, how do you see the role of district director to provide mentoring and motivation of local organizations?
Sure. So what I believe
Well, we may have lost him. I know he's in Cadillac.
the role of the district director is to basically be a cheerleader. My job is to get you the resources that you need, people that do have the answers, can you guys hear me? Wave your hand if you can hear me. I can see myself. Yeah. Hello?
We can kind of hear you. You're coming in and out.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you right now.
Okay. So the role of the district director, in my opinion, is that we are here to provide resources. We're here to provide resources to help our members achieve their goals. So my goal is not to come down and tell you what to do or to check off boxes. My job is to find out okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to start over. Can everybody hear me?
Right now, yes.
Okay. Okay. So the role of the district director is to act as a liaison for membership. So what that means is I'm supposed to go down there and help members in terms of figuring out what they're looking to accomplish, what they would like to do. I'm supposed to provide them the resources that they are looking for, as well as to act as a cheerleader. That's what I believe the goal of the district director is to act as a cheerleader and a resource to the membership.
Wonderful, thank you. Programming vice president candidate. Your question, your first pre-selected question is, what value does the state officer present when visiting a local organization, its events, or connecting with its members?
I think is it just one value or all?
The question says value, but it's up to you.
Okay. Honestly, I think the value that I've gotten out of visiting different state events, whether it be virtually or in person, is the power to learn. I want to be there to help, but I also want to hear what it is that this chapter is doing, why they're putting on the project that they're doing, who they're supporting. It's not my goal to make any changes but to offer any advice or help that they may need along the way, because how I do it in my home chapter is not how someone's going to do it in another chapter, and that's perfectly okay. So if we learn from each other, we're more likely to spread our knowledge throughout the state so that we can all work together to create and support these various chapter events and projects.
Thank you. Chris, your second pre-selected question is, please share with us your ideas on how you will train our local organizations to grow within their communities. Oh, he's still muted. We may have lost him.
That is a great question. So, wow, that's actually there is to get back to where we are doing. This Wi-Fi sucks. I'm sorry. Things that I like to do. I'd like to get back to where we're doing.
Chris, we've lost you.
Lots, but
Unfortunately, Chris, we can't hear you at all. And I have a feeling it was a good answer. Let's move on.
Also training for people in the organization to help G training and do a deeper dive into. Keeps freezing. Wait.
He does have, I can hear, he's got tech support back there helping him.
No, we're trying. Apparently Wi-Fi out here is awful. Now I've lost my train of thought. Okay, can you repeat the question?
Yes. How share your ideals and how you would train our local organizations to grow within their communities?
Absolutely. So one of the ways in which I do that is teaching people how to reach out to other organizations and to recognize other needs in their community. So one of the big things is finding out not just who they know and who their friends are, but finding out what other organizations are in the community, what other organizations could use help, and teaching people how to connect with those organizations, how to, give an elevator speech that tells about their value system and what they're looking for, their mission statement, so to speak, and how to connect with other organizations. I believe that once people know how to connect with other organizations, then they can come up with programming and projects that can actually tie into those organizations. And that would actually help with diversification of all sorts, whether it's racial, whether it's religious, whether it's socioeconomic. By being able to get outside of their comfort zones and teaching them how to do so, they can expand the organization from within their own community that way.
Thank you. Karina, your second pre-selected question is, what do you see as the purpose of the awards and recognition program, and how do you plan to encourage local organizations to participate in it?
That's a great question. I think one of the things that we've seen in the past couple of years is that a lot of the same chapters regularly participate, which is not a bad thing. I'm glad that they continue to do so because they find value. But I do think we, as state organization, need to be working with people from other chapters who haven't submitted in the past couple of years and figure out why. Why aren't they submitting? Why aren't they participating in competitions or SPEs? And I think a lot of that might have to come back to, over the past 3 to 5 years, a lot of the same chapters have people on the state board. And I really think one of the things that I would like to see is to reach out to chapters who may have previously been overlooked, to invite members to be on the board, not just at the district director level, but on the different teams. Because I know in my own home chapter, me being involved in the state board has brought back so much extra knowledge and value that I've encouraged people to participate, and they're excited because they're seeing me do it. So if you have someone who's doing it, who's actively participating, that excitement starts not just of that one person, but your whole chapter gets on board and supporting it. So I really just think a lot of it comes with conversation, but inviting people to be part of the conversation, to be part of the events and the competitions. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Now for the audience questions. We have a question for Chris in particular. What ideals do you have to ensure all members feel welcomed in this organization?
All right. So just talk to people, to be honest with you. If you see somebody that you do not know, walk up to them, say hi, introduce yourself, just have a short conversation. But instead of like info dumping about the organization, find out what they're into. I think the best way that we can get to know people and make people feel comfortable is to be inquisitive as to who they are, what they're looking for, and how to make a connection. That's really how we can make people feel comfortable. Once we do that, everything else kind of falls into place. But really just reaching out to people, getting out of our comfort zone, sitting with somebody new, introducing that person to somebody else, and just being human. I think that's the best way to make people feel comfortable.
Thank you. Karina, let's answer the same question. What ideas do you have to ensure all members feel welcomed?
I think what Chris said about talking to people, but I think one of the things I've seen is when we're hosting events and we posted them on Facebook or Meetup or wherever you're promoting your event, Having that in the event description, that this is an inclusive community, everyone is welcome from all walks of life. And sometimes that means that we have people who are, not 21 to 40 who are showing up, but that's okay. If they're learning about our organization, they're going to go tell someone like, hey, I had a really great experience at that chapter's GMM, and they're going to tell someone who might be of member age, but it's going to grow, the knowledge of our organization, but also it's going to show that we're an inclusive and welcoming community. I also just think being willing to show up and go to an event that you've never been to by like visiting other chapters and being that friendly person. I know when I visited another chapter and I might not know everyone, I kind of feel like the new kid on the block. So if I talk to another new person, they also feel welcome and like they're not the only person who's the new kid there.
Thank you. Chris, for your second audience question, what do you plan to do with mentoring new and younger members?
I'm so glad you asked that question. So one of the things I implemented in Livonia a couple of years back was a mentorship program where we took a more seasoned member. It doesn't necessarily need to be a board member, but somebody that's been part of the organization for a little while, and we paired them with a newer member to do a lot of things, whether it's going to conference, whether it's going to different projects, things of that nature, and just having them learn about things, making sure that they're with them when they go to new member orientation or project management training. By finding somebody who's in one part of their JC journey and pairing them with somebody new, not only does it help that new member get acclimated and find out what we're really about and whether they really want to be a part of it and how they'd like to be a part of it, how they'd like to be engaged. It actually helps that seasoned member that's been around for a while in terms of not only sharpening their skills, but perhaps stepping out of their comfort zone and going and trying new things that they hadn't done in the past. So one of the big things I would like to see happen is that not only we have the local chapter mentorship program, but we start doing one for leadership as well, where somebody that's more seasoned on the state board or the local board reaches out to newer members and shows them that it's not this big scary thing, that in fact, this is actually something you can start small with, something like the production team, which people like Adam Nelson reached out to me and introduced me to from the state board, and showing people their true potential. Having mentors throughout the organization has been a huge thing for me. I started out as somebody that just wanted to come around for social reasons, and I've went up the ranks and I've done a lot of different projects and things of that nature, and I attribute it to the mentors that I've had. So I believe that if we can get a local mentorship program going, a district mentorship program, and then a state liaison mentorship program, that would be fantastic. And that's how we bring forward the leaders of tomorrow.
Wonderful, thank you. Karina, same question. What do you plan to do with mentoring new and younger members?
I think Chris highlighted a really good program. For the past about 2 months, I've been part of a committee at the national level to talk about bringing senators back and being mentors and utilizing that knowledge. And I do think for some members, that can be a really amazing opportunity. I know that I joined the JCs for one reason, and then many other reasons have presented themselves, including leadership, that have helped me stick around. But I do think one aspect of mentorship that I would have personally loved is if I had a JC mentor who had a similar career that I do, because I think beyond our JC experience, we're looking to gain skills that help us professionally. And so I would love to find a way to capture mentors that help us not only in our JC professions, in our outside professions as well. And so I think by utilizing our senators and utilizing our current members, we could create one really awesome mentorship program so people really can gain the skills that they need in the JCs and beyond.
Thank you. And thank you, candidates. Good luck in your campaigns. Thank you for making it through the first virtual Zoom Meet the Candidates. You guys did great. Next, we're moving on to the presidential candidates. Before we officially started this, we did a coin flip. It was very official with an iPhone. But Anna won the coin flip, and so she chose to go last. So we'll hear from Adam Bonarek first, and then we'll hear from Anna Versailles second. So for the purpose of introducing our first candidate, Adam Bonarek, please welcome Tara Mack.
Hi, good morning, JCI Michigan. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so excited to see all your faces this morning. I'm honored and excited to introduce our next candidate. I've worked with Adam Bonarek since the beginning of my JC career. Many memories have been made over the last 12 years. One of my fondest was actually in 2010 when Adam and I both attended the JCI USA convention in New Orleans. It was my very first national event, and Adam made sure he took me under his wing and showed me the way to not only experience national convention, but have fun as well. I had my first and only hurricane with him. Adam's been a JC for as long as I can remember and has taken on so many roles. I can't even keep track anymore. You've probably seen him either on the local level, the state level, national level, and yes, even the international level. If you ask Adam about his awards and accolades, he'd probably downplay them because to him, it's just about getting the job done. But me, I'm gonna brag a little. Adam has had the honor of earning several awards, including being one of the top 10 local presidents in the country, leading his chapter to a top five finish nationally. He and his team were also recognized at both the state and national level for what they did in Detroit for that national convention we had in 2016. I've watched Adam develop into a dedicated member that truly cares about the future of JCI Michigan. His passion and desire to make this the world's best leadership organization shows in all that he does. I believe Adam is a true advocate for all JCI members, and he will help ensure that every member has a chance to maximize his or her potential. I know Adam will continue to serve JCI Michigan with the same passion he exhibits in all of his endeavors. His broad range of experience in JCI will help him in building bridges in 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome with me Adam Bonarek, Senator number 78620.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction, and good morning, everyone. It is great to see everyone here on Zoom. It's disappointing that we aren't able to meet in person, but I'm so glad that we have the technology available to us to be able to meet the way that we are today. So for me, it's interesting being here today because it reminds me of the person who was campaigning 10 years ago to be state president. And that person was campaigning on a platform of happily ever after. And he talked often about the fact that we are on a journey to happily ever after. And that journey over the years takes many different forms. And so for me, I came up with the concept of building bridges because I think that's where we are on our journey to happily ever after. We've reached a point where we need to bridge the gap between where we are today and where we want to be in order to achieve that goal. And so when I think about building bridges, I think about the fact that we need to bridge the gap between our chapters. We need to bridge the gap between our chapters and our members. We need to bridge the gap between the state and our chapters and our members. And we need to be thinking about how do we bridge the gap between us and our potential members and partner organizations. Over the years, I've been fortunate to have many conversations with current and past leaders on the topic of why are we here? Why does the state organization exist? And what role does JCI Michigan play in the overall scheme of JCI? For me, that answer has always been very simple. As a state organization, we have three primary purposes, all of which are intertwined and dependent upon each other to be successful. Those three purposes are to inspire, to develop, and to connect. And my platform for building bridges is really built around these three concepts. I'm going to focus on the inspire piece because I think if we can nail that piece, the other pieces more naturally happen. We know that as members of JCI that we are called to be active citizens influencing and impacting our communities and society at large. And I believe that as a state organization, the number one way that we have to inspire our members is through our statewide events. The impact of being together and working together is huge and cannot be overstated. Did you know that 1 hour of in-person interaction is worth 12 hours of interacting with someone on the phone and over 30 hours of working with someone over email or Facebook? Think about the value of that. 1 hour of in-person interaction is worth 12 hours over the phone and 30 hours over virtual means. So when we come together as a state organization, we need to make sure that we are making the most of these opportunities to ensure that when our members leave, they are fired up and inspired and ready to go back out and tackle the issues of the day. One thing that I think COVID has taught us is that we must be agile and we must be ready to adapt. And so with that in mind, I think this gives us the perfect opportunity for us to look at all of our state events, the structure of which has really remained the same, basically the same for decades, and ask ourselves, is this structure still the most beneficial today in 2020, given our membership and all of the tools that we have at our disposal? And if not, what would make it better? And that's a conversation that I would like to lead in 2021. We heard earlier from our membership VP candidate that he was talking about the fact that we need to focus on Generation Z, and I completely agree with that. We need to establish a Gen Z membership task force. Generation Z is turning 25 years old, which means they are the perfect target group for us to focus on, as we often say that our target age range is 25 to 32. I was here when we transitioned from the boomers and Gen X to people like me, the millennials. And we cannot afford to make the same mistakes in membership in this transition again that we made in the past. When I joined this organization, we had over 4,000 members in JCI Michigan, and we have fewer than 1,000 today. And why is that? I don't believe it's because people are not engaged. I believe that it's more likely because our message and the way that we're getting our message out there is not resonating with the young people of today. And so this task force will be charged with finding a way to target that group specifically and finding a way to make sure that they feel included in who the organization is. Related to that, I want to create a diversity and inclusion committee. This is not a new topic. We have struggled with this for a long time. As a gay man, I have been flat out told by some of my mentors that I would struggle to move up in this organization because the organization has been so closed-minded in the past. And I've been unfortunately told that as recently as earlier this year. We cannot be that way moving forward. We must be open to all. And not only must we be open to all, we have to find a way to demonstrate that we are open to all and inclusive, because our demographics today do not reflect that. I think part of this, achieving this goal, will mean that we will need to look for ways to build bridges with other organizations that may help us be more diverse and inclusive, such as those traditional African American service fraternities or groups like Equality Michigan and the Spectrum Center. I do not pretend to have all the answers to this at all, but I am looking to this committee to help us understand this question better. The final major platform plank that I really want to talk about today is my desire to create an advocacy day in Lansing. I want to take the model of what JCI USA does at the UN Foundation when they go to Washington, D.C. and advocate on behalf of causes and take that to our Capitol Hill here in Lansing. And what I'm envisioning is that we will have a fall event that we take the time over the course of the year to train our members in what it means to advocate and how to advocate and what types of things you should do when you have that opportunity to interface with your statewide elected leaders. And I want to see us go to Capitol Hill in Lansing in October and have a JC Day where our chapters get the opportunity to meet face-to-face with their elected officials and talk about the needs that are important to them back home. We know that our elected officials, unfortunately, do not represent, most of them do not fit in the age range of who would be JCI members, right? Most of them are over 40. So we need to make sure that they understand what's important to us and how they can help us be those active citizens and the change makers back home. And I believe that we are more than capable of having the resources to do that. Everyone knows that I'm a very active trainer. And so training and facilitation will be a huge platform piece for me as well. next year, I want to see us take advantage of the technological tools that we have to see us having a coordinated training program that starts with lots and goes throughout the entire year. I think that if we do that, it will lessen the requirement that we have as much training, maybe at our state events, which gives us more opportunities to look at other ways to do things. In closing, I just want to say that I appreciate all of your support, and I hope that you will vote for me and vote for Building Bridges as your 97th president of JCI Michigan. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Next, we'll hear from our next candidate for president, Anna Versailles. For the purpose of introducing our candidate for president, please welcome to the stage Jamie Hecker from JCI Greater Muskegon.
Hello, thank you. JCI Michigan, I'm happy to introduce Anna Versailles today. Anna has been a member of the JCI family for over 10 years, having served as an active member with the great local organizations of JCI Kalamazoo and JCI Lansing. I met her when I was a new member of Kalamazoo, way back in the day, shortly coming from Muskegon. So you may remember her defying gravity as the 83rd president of Kalamazoo shortly after only a few years after she became a member there. She has served several roles within JCI Michigan, but you may know her best as a previous COO and now the woman behind the Zoom, our communications and technology director. She was an inaugural member of the JCI USA Leadership Fellows class, as well as the inaugural JCI USA North American Academy, and a graduate of that program. And she's an experienced trainer. Many of us have gone through a number of the JCI trainings with Anna. Anna's journey through the JCs has brought her around the world and bringing back the idea that we can truly be unlimited if we all work together. There's so many things that we can do together as a group. And I find her to be an excellent friend, a leader, and most importantly, what I've learned through my 11 plus years as a JC, one of the most important things you can be is a general member. And I find Anna to be not only a leader, but one of the best general members I know, always willing to lend a hand, do the hard work, and still pick up the pieces at the end of the day and then be a leader at the end of the day. So thank you so much. And please welcome Anna Versailles for me.
Thank you so much, Jamie, for that great introduction. Good morning, JCI Michigan. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with all of us this morning to learn more about the great candidates for office in our organization. So, as Jamie mentioned, when we come together, our potential is unlimited. And that is the theme of my campaign, Together We're Unlimited. Some of you may know that I am a huge fan of the musical Wicked, and this concept is prevalent throughout that musical. In fact, Elphaba tries to convince Glinda, the two main characters, the witches, to come with her and leave behind everything because together they can make such positive change in the world. This concept has definitely helped to shape the platform that I have set if elected to be candidate. Some of the things that, elected to be president, some of the things that I would be focusing on during my term would be diversity and inclusion. This is something that has come up many times in the organization. It's not a new idea of something that we need to focus on, but it's something that I think is extremely important. Diversity and inclusion doesn't just mean to me that we're going to go attract a bunch of members that look different or have different characteristics than those who are currently part of our membership. It really means that we start to work with the chapters and make sure that our chapters are representative of the areas they're in and that they represent the diversity of their communities. If we really start to focus on that at the chapter level, then our diversity across the organization will be stronger. Inclusion also encompasses the accessibility of activities at the state level, of events, accessibility to trainings, to competitions, to our single project entries. So the diversity and inclusion piece is extremely important for us to be able to grow and to exist long-term as an organization. Another piece that's extremely important for us to be able to exist long-term is to start supporting and implementing a strategic plan. If elected, I plan to appoint a chairperson to oversee a committee to focus on a long-term strategic plan for the organization. We have 1 year to lead, but that doesn't mean we have to reinvent the map every year. We would serve all of our members much better if we had a long-term vision of where we are now and where we want to be in the future. And then each year, as we take that 1 year to lead, we continue down that path to meet those goals, still allowing each president and each team to realize their visions for the organization in that year. I think part of our long-term plans for success also include increasing our recognition for general members. If elected, I plan to work closely with the membership vice president and programming vice president to ensure that we are recognizing all members in the best possible ways. General members are the lifeblood of our organization. Without general members, there's no point in having higher leadership roles. And so I think it's important to make sure that we're recognizing those efforts. I have received several awards throughout my JCI career, and I'm really proud of the work that I've done and those awards recognizing that work. One of the most important, though, to me was receiving JCI of the trimester in 2012 when our 88th president, Sarah Nelson, was leading us to write our future. And it was so impactful because it's not something I submitted for. I didn't plan a specific thing in order to seek this recognition. I didn't even know that it was something I could possibly get. My chapters submitted me for it, and out of all the members in the state, I was recognized. And just for doing all the great things I was doing as a general member, that was very impactful to me. And I would like to see us bring that type of impact back for our general members. Additionally, I see the role of the state organization to be a support for our chapters to champion growth and development. I think it would be important to work with the elected membership vice president and the district directors to ensure that we're bridging that divide between the state organization and our chapters and members, to ensure that information is being shared in a timely manner, that all members feel included and welcome, and that our members are ready and looking for those opportunities to grow themselves as leaders and move up through the organization. I also think it's really important as a leader in this organization, and if elected to be president, to really listen to what you, the members, have for ideas and your vision for our organization. I could share thousands of ideas that I have for JCI, but if they don't align with the overall vision of our members, then there's not much point in sharing them. So ensuring that we're coming together so that we can be unlimited in our potential is extremely important to me as a leader in the organization. I would invite you to join me in the future listening and Q&A sessions that I'll be having throughout the month so that we can continue this conversation past today. I'm ready to be the leader that JCI Michigan needs, to hear what our general membership has to say, and to help those around me grow and build their skills to be the leaders that we need tomorrow. Thank you very much for your time this morning to hear a little bit more about myself as a candidate, my vision and ideas for JCI Michigan. I hope to earn your vote when it comes time to cast those ballots, and I'm looking forward to continued interactions throughout the next several weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you so much to both the candidates. At this point, we'd like to ask a few questions. regarding your pursuit in the next step of your legacy of leadership, your thoughts on JC membership and visions for the potential year as president. We have a few prepared questions for you, and we'll also take a few questions from the audience. Again, please limit your answers to 1.5 minutes or less. There'll be 4 pre-selected questions and up to 4 audience questions. For the pre-selected, each candidate will both answer the same question, but we'll do the same rotation that we did with the speeches. So we'll start with Adam and then move to Anna. So the first pre-selected question, how will you promote projects that create positive change?
How will I promote projects that create positive change? Is that the question?
That was the question.
Well, I think that that kind of goes back to the connect part of my platform, right? I think we need to use all of the tools that are at our disposal, all the media tools that are at our disposal to make sure that we are spotlighting those projects that are really impactful, that others may view as a source of inspiration for themselves that we have around the state. And so we can do that through some of the sources we already have, like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and YouTube and our Zoom sessions and our Michigander. We have a lot of different tools at our disposal to do that. And as long as we are using them all consistently and with consistent branding, I think we should use as many tools as we can.
Thank you. Anna, same question. How will you promote projects that create positive change?
Oh, so that's a great question. All the projects that we do create positive change because they're helping our members grow some skill sets that they need to better themselves as leaders, as professionals. I think one of the most important things that we can do, in addition to what candidate Adam mentioned with media promotion and using all those tools, is to make personal invites. So if elected to be president, as I was made aware of different projects that are happening within chapters, I would utilize the ability to make a personal ask for other state board members to attend those, for other chapters, other chapter presidents, and really add that personal touch in, which is so valuable to help with the promotion.
Thank you. And actually, we're going to alternate back and forth on, so Adam answered the first question, then Anna, then Anna, then Adam. So sorry, that was my, just so that no one has the advantage of hearing the other person speak the whole time. So we'll rotate that. So Anna, you'll answer the second question, that the pre-selected question. How will you help local organizations to recruit and increase membership?
So one of the ways that I believe a president can help local organizations to recruit and increase membership is to first start by getting to know the members and the dynamic in that chapter. Then help them identify opportunities within their community and to connect with other like-minded organizations. And that helps increase visibility in the community to engage potential members. I think it would also be important to ensure that I'm connecting regularly with the membership vice president and the district director in the area so that we're engaging as a team as a whole.
Thank you. Adam, same question. Do you want me to repeat it?
Yes, please.
How will you help local organizations to recruit and increase membership?
So I think in many ways that goes back, one of the most important pieces here, I think, will be this Generation Z membership task force and the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, because I think the work that comes out from those two committees will be able to then guide, give us pieces of advice and information that our local chapters can then utilize to make their engagement with the members in their community more effective. So as part of that, what I can see envisioning happening is that if we have a task force at the statewide level, that we may work with the local chapters to create a similar type of task force at their local levels. You know, like we run into that weird scenario sometimes where people seem to think that membership is the membership VP's problem. And membership isn't the membership VP's problem. It's everyone's issue to deal with, right? Everything we do involves our members. And so everyone has a role to play in the way that we approach membership. And that, I think, is part of what we as the state, through inspiring and developing and connecting them together, we need to give them the tools to be able to do just that so that everyone feels comfortable playing that role in the membership puzzle.
Thank you. So now we're going to start with Adam on question number 3. What do you think is the single biggest issue facing JCI Michigan currently?
Membership. It's kind of funny because that was one of the questions for the Michigander profile. And so I remember I wrote membership, pre-COVID membership, post-COVID membership. It's membership. We have lost 80% of our membership in the last 20 years. We can't continue to sustain that. And as I kind of mentioned in my speech, I don't think in any way that that's because young people don't want to be engaged, but young people want to be sure that if they're going to be engaged, that there's going to be a voice for them and that they're going to be allowed to use their skills and abilities to their fullest. And so we need to focus on why is it that they do not feel that that's what we can give them right now. Our entire organization, the whole mission and purpose behind our organization is to do just that. And yet we have this disconnect. We have to find a way to solve this membership issue so that we can go back to having the growth numbers that we had in the past so that we have the impact and the influence to really be those change makers and those advocates statewide.
Thank you. Anna, same question. What do you see as what do you think is the biggest issue facing JCI Michigan currently?
I think the biggest issue facing JCI Michigan currently is that we're suffering from an identity crisis. And this identity crisis is leading to a lot of problems for us, problems in being able to deliver what we promise out of membership in the organization, problems with trying to be able to recruit new members. We have chapters that are branded as JCI, we have chapters that are branded as JCs, we have chapters that are branded as junior chamber. And I think that it's important for chapters to own and hold their identity, but to also co-brand as a JCI organization so that we can grow that recognition across the board. But also to recognize that JCI is a leadership organization that's designed to empower young active citizens to create positive change. So we need to stop thinking of ourselves as a volunteer organization or as a social organization and think about ourselves as the leadership organization that we are and that we're here to help people develop themselves. If we start to cohesively brand our identity, I think it's going to solve a lot of our other problems.
Thank you. So now we'll start with Anna on the last pre-selected question before we move into audience questions. What type of development opportunities will you promote to JCI Michigan membership and to local organizations?
So that's a great question. Development opportunities are, exactly why JCI exists. And there are so many opportunities available within the national and international level of the organization that I feel we don't always take advantage of within JCI Michigan. So I would be promoting members to get engaged in things like the North American Academy, to engage in leadership training university if that's made available again through the national organization, to take all of the JCI official and unofficial leadership courses that are available through the JCI trainings. Those opportunities, especially right now while we're working through digital training, we're able to connect with members from all over the world. And so those opportunities, as well as attending area conference for any of the 4 areas, but especially for Conference of the Americas, as well as World Congress. And so really promoting those opportunities that we have for connection in further on than JCI Michigan.
Thank you. Adam, same question. What type of development opportunities will you promote to JCI Michigan membership and local organizations?
Well, I think that everything that we do as an organization, whether we call it that or not, really is a development opportunity, right? We have the opportunity to develop our skills as a project manager by leading a project. We have the ability to develop our skills at how to lead a team of people when we serve at the local, state, or serve at any level of the organization on a board of directors. We have the opportunity to develop our skills as a member of a team. We have the opportunity through things like the professional skills competitions to develop our skills as public speakers and how to formulate an argument. We have the ability to develop through our programming process what you would have to do if you were trying to like submit for a grant application. So I think the development opportunities are really there in everything that we do. I just don't know that we always do a really good job of talking about that. There are many development organizations or opportunities, of course, beyond JCI Michigan. I'm really glad that Anna mentioned the North American Academy because it was a really amazing thing to be able to be one of the facilitators for that this year for the inaugural event. And I really do hope that we have the opportunity to do that again next year. And of course, I think the Advocacy Day, that piece of my platform, is a huge development opportunity that I think will give people the skills to be more effective advocates both at home and at the state at large. And so to really develop those skills.
Thank you. Now we're going to move into the audience questions. And actually, we have quite a few questions. So I'm going to select 4 of them to move forward with. But if you have more questions, please keep submitting. Heather is forwarding them to me so that I can see them. And we'll do the same rotation. We'll start with Adam and then move back and forth between Adam and Anna on who answers first. But all the candidates will answer all the same 4 questions. So we'll start with Adam on this one. Please share your thoughts on the long-term financial viability of the state organization based on lower revenues, a smaller membership. And how does your chapter budgetary or state budgetary experience translate you into leading the state? A big question.
Yeah, so, well, fortunately, of course, I've been the finance director for JCI Michigan, and of course, I am a finance director in my professional life, so I'm really used to dealing with budget and numbers. And fortunately for all of you, I don't have any spreadsheets to bore any of you with today. I'm looking at all of those. But I will say that from a financial point of view, I think we certainly benefit from the fact that several years ago, we changed the way our membership dues are structured, at least from the state perspective, to being the per chapter amount instead of the per member amount. And I say that because that evens out the keel. We're not as susceptible to changes in membership because our actual number of chapters has remained relatively flat. So we're not subject to big spikes there, and that's the biggest source of revenue that we have. Most of the revenue that we get from like our statewide conferences is just expended. Those things are generally budgeted to be pretty close to break even, if not break even. So that hasn't necessarily impacted us. So I think from a statewide perspective, we should be in good financial shape. I would have to look at the detailed financial statements to know that for sure, but my suspicion is that we're actually doing fine.
Thank you. Anna, same question. I'll reread it because it's a mouthful. Please share your thoughts on the long-term financial viability of the state organization based on the lower revenues, a smaller membership, and how does your chapter budgetary experience translate to you leading the state?
So color-coded spreadsheets and some bacon. I mean, clearly, if any of you were around when Joni was our finance director, those things worked wonders on our budget. So, but in all seriousness, when I was serving as COO, I got quite a bit of experience with the state budget, and that was, I think, is going to be extremely valuable if elected to be president to help with the understanding of the long-term financial viability. I think that we need to diversify some of our resources for income and not just count on membership dues. It's been a few years since we've had any kind of a fundraising event at the statewide level. And I think there are opportunities that we could be using to raise some funds, even if we start small. And and not necessarily focus on like how are we going to raise tens of thousands of dollars, but even if we start to raise like a couple $1,000s, that's going to make an impact, especially as we make use of our investment accounts and the potential for interest income from those. So I think that it's important to look at, you know, what are our potential long-term projections for membership and income dues, and then look at how we need to diversify to ensure that we're financially stable.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Anna on this one. What is the hardest lesson you've learned during your JC career, and how has it shaped you into a better leader?
Oh, that's a great question. I think the hardest lesson that I've learned in my JCI career is that no matter how hard you work for something, and sometimes it's not going to come out the way you expected, that the plan isn't going to happen the way you wanted it to. And it's important to, if that happens, to step back and say, okay, this didn't pan out how I wanted, but what did I learn from this? How did I grow as a person? What can I do better the next time? And that has definitely helped me in aspects of my JCI career, but also in my personal life, with different events that happen between friends and family, as well as in my career.
Thank you. Adam, same question. What is the hardest lesson you've learned during your JC career, and how has it shaped you into a better leader?
That is a great question. And I think for me, I would say, I'm just going to, it's actually in many ways, I think very similar to what Anna said, but I'm going to say that sometimes people just suck, right? And people don't necessarily hold up to what they say they were going to do. And people may not fulfill the commitments that they said they were going to do, or they may tell you they're going to do one thing and do something else, or they don't show up when they said they were going to show up. And it is very easy, I think, to take that and go, well, is that about me? Or did I do something wrong? And then you can kind of go into this spiral where you all of a sudden go like, well, then maybe none of this is worth it, because we have to deal with these people who are kind of, you know, awful at times. And we see that, of course, in the JCs, people are people. And unfortunately, people do some really awful things sometimes. And I say that because I think, though, the more important thing, though, of course, is the fact that you have to just keep going, right? It's not about you. People do things independently of you. It doesn't have anything to do with you as an individual. And you have to stay true to what it is that you want to achieve and you want to accomplish. And you have to keep putting that message forward and keep moving forward.
Thank you. Adam, you will start question number 3. The role of JCI leadership can sometimes feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. If elected, how do you plan on preventing burnout for yourself, your team, and local leaders?
Well, I think it's important for us to remember that if we're not having fun while we're doing this, then why are we doing it, right? It's JCI, it's not the end of the world, right? Like it's a training organization for us to learn the skills, for us to be able to do leadership things in other areas as well. And so sometimes I think we run the risk of taking things too seriously. And we need to remember that we need to enjoy what we're doing and take a step back and just take a minute to take a break and just reflect on what we're doing and just have fun. So I think that for me, that will be an important part of working with my team, is to remind all of this, that at the end of the day, we're doing this for a volunteer organization because we love it, but we can't let it become the all-consuming thing that makes us then end up leaving the organization or feeling burnt out afterwards.
Thank you. Anna, same question. The role of JCI leadership can sometimes feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. If elected, how do you plan on preventing burnout of yourself, your team, and local leaders?
Burnout is definitely a real thing within the organization. I've experienced it in the past, and I've seen it happen to others around me. So a few of the things that I've learned along the way that can help with that are to remember that it's okay to stop and focus on you for a moment. It's not selfish to put self-care first from time to time. It's also important to remember for myself and to remind those around me on the team, this is not our 40-hour-a-week job. Nobody pays us a salary to JC. We do this because we love it, because we're passionate, and because we want to develop ourselves. So keeping focus on that. I think it's also important to look at from the team aspect that one of the ways to prevent burnout is to make sure that all of our interactions as a team aren't just about business. It's great that we, have board meetings and board calls and committee meetings and discussions to plan the day-to-day business of JCI Michigan, but sometimes we just need to have fun together. And sometimes when we're just having fun together, we need to enforce that no JC business talk. And that can be hard, but it's an important skill for us to learn because that transcends into our careers as well.
Thank you. Anna, you're going to start the last official question. What changes, if any, do you think would need to be made to the organization to be more attractive to the next generation, that Gen Z, the oldest of which is 23?
So I think the primary change that we need to look at has kind of been pushed on us with this pandemic, and that is evolving into a more digital environment. The world is connected in a different way now than it was even when I started as a JC. And using those opportunities to provide virtual training sessions, virtual meetings, virtual socials, even past the pandemic, is going to be extremely important to ensuring that we continue that inclusiveness, which also transcends to engaging and bringing in Gen Z. I think we also need to be more in tune with what are the things that this generation is passionate about and cares about. They may not be the same things that my generation, millennials, care about, or the generations who came before us who are helping as mentors through our senators and our roosters. And so just kind of having a focus on, what does this generation care about, and that more digital, more virtual, or hybrid of both in-person and virtual opportunities.
Thank you. Adam, same question. What changes, if any, do you think would need to be made to the organization to make the organization more attractive to the next generation, that Gen Z, the oldest of which is 23?
Yeah, so Gen Z, of course, as I have said, is a huge part of my platform because I think we absolutely have to focus there. And I agree with what candidate Anna said, that I think a big piece of that is going to be technology, and how are we using technology as a way to bridge that gap with these younger members in a way so that they feel engaged and involved in what we're doing. I also think that the discussions that we need to have about how our state is functioning as a statewide organization through things like our events, and what is it that how can our events be modified in a way that will be more attractive to Generation Z? So we need to form this task force, and we need to look at the data, and we need to get people on the task force who are part of Generation Z to be able to answer those questions for themselves. And then we need to go out there and do it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, candidates. Good luck in your campaigns, and good luck to all the candidates in their campaigns this year. And at this point, I'd like to hand the meeting back over to your elections chair, Sherry.
Sarah. First of all, thank you everyone for attending this year's Meet the Candidates. We hope you've learned more about all of your candidates. We've recorded the speeches today, and we'll be posting links on each of the JCI Michigan website and on the Campaign 2020 page. I'd like to take a moment to thank Sarah Nelson for hosting today, and I would like to thank Heather from Grand Rapids for helping out with questions, timing, things like that. I would also like to take a moment to introduce and thank the elections committee members. If you could wave, say hi. I know it says if you could please stand, but being virtual. Peter Behrman from Livonia. And Dan Mollering, Rochester area, Senator number 77898. This wouldn't have been possible without you guys. Thank you so much for your help with this. I just want to go over, after today, chapters will be notified the maximum number of delegates that you have to vote. It's important that every chapter wishing to vote be in good standing, have current payments, no outstanding invoices, and not on probation. Ballots will be mailed out today to chapters and voting board members and they'll be sent to the local president to every chapter, and they'll be sent to the chapter address on JC member. So make sure, if it's a post office box, make sure you are checking those post office boxes for your ballots within the next week. They should be distributed to your delegates and signed by the local president, and they should be postmarked to the committee by September 1st. We will be, so we're going to, on September 12th, the elections committee is going to be opening them and counting them at the service center in Lansing. Later that day, we will publish and announce the results. October 9th through 11th at our next conference, we'll swear in the elected candidates and we'll do appointments and interest meetings at that time for 2021. If you guys have any questions regarding anything with the elections process, please feel free to reach out to any of us on the elections committee. Good luck to all of the candidates. You guys all did amazing today. Thank you. And now I turn it over to Sarah Austin, president number 96.
Hi. Thank you again for Sarah Nelson for being our moderator today, and for Jerry Lee, Dan, and Peter for serving on the elections committee. Also, thank you to all of our candidates today for taking the time to put together your speeches and share with us your vision for the future for JCI Michigan. And thank you to all of our members who joined today. I was really encouraged when I saw just how many people have tuned in to the Zoom, and I know there will be many others that watch this event on the YouTube recording of the event. Once again, this is a very important time in our organization as we choose who's going to be leading the organization going forward. So please do not hesitate to reach out to those candidates that you heard from today. If you have additional questions, go to their, all of the candidates have Facebook candidate pages if you want more information on them, and really look at your candidates so that you can make the best decision for your organization going forward. Once again, thank you everyone for joining today. Enjoy the beautiful weather today, this wonderful Michigan Saturday that we're having, and hope to see you all virtually soon and in person, hopefully this fall. So thanks again, and everybody have a great day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you, everybody, for coming.